I was here some time back. I did say that. You see, the idea of the official opposition, what is being proposed there is not just an official opposition of office. It is going to be a full-fledged official opposition office with with a shadow cabinet, which are remunerated, so as to make it attractive. You see, these MPs who are busy going responding to Ruto, to the president's invitation at State House and what have you. Executive orders, especially the ones which suspend the constitution, must be passed by at least two-thirds of parliament. Today, if we say that, like you do realize now, the Americans are saying that there are impending attacks, isn't it? There are impending attacks in the country. Now, for those who see far, the genesis of that those impending attacks, in my way, they are directed at the imagined rallies. And what did you hear the ambassador saying? People should avoid crowded areas like high traffic, traffic places. Yeah? In other words, sooner or later, if you find that there is going to be some explosion, maybe stage managed explosions, and then I go and I'm the president, I go and give an executive order number 2. No more rallies going forward. Basically suspending sections of the constitution. So we are looking for reasons to issue these executive orders. You can say that you go and camp at Arambe House or camp at State House, but we say no, 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 no. Under the circumstances, call it a state of emergency of sorts. Issue an executive order so that I legally, and for me to do that, I need two-thirds of parliament. It can then explain to you the appetite for buying the MPs. Now, what I don't understand is whether the MPs being bought are aware of this. The MPs being bought are aware of this. You saw what was happening around the Matiang'i case. The DCI comes forward to say that they do not know who these people are. Yet, they are part of the people, the skeleton security given to the Matiang'is, the Babas, the Urus. They are policemen. Whatever was going on there, police are in charge of security. Matiang'i should be asking them, who are these people who have come to arrest me? The fact that the DCI want to say they do not know them, who should know them? Knowing who was surrounding Matiang'i's residence is their work. It's their work. They can't flip the coin to say that Matiang'i should tell us who was surrounding there. No. It is not right. And you see, when they realize that maybe they touched the wrong button, they quickly withdraw and start disowning everything. They quickly withdraw and start disowning everything.
So, unknown scripts, can you tell me what exactly happened? What was the intention of arresting Matiang'i from your own point of view?
It was to trigger in circumstances which will lead us to issuing executive order number 2.
What is that? Can you tell Kenyans what's executive order number 2?
It can be something bordering on a state of emergency in the country, declaring.
So how was that going to trigger circumstances that people were going to riot on the streets?
You see, that is what they have been looking for. You see, for example, just to say a little, you see, these arrests, like for the fellows who were arrested, somebody somewhere was hoping
Mm-hmm.
those Bungala wananchi diehards who are saying that shika so and so, block so and so, na tutataona, tutakutana na wewe, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is what the other side has been waiting for. They were hoping that they will take the fellow to the police station, then their supporters would flock there and start demanding their release.
And throw
Ah,
stones
exactly.
and then ban property, and then they would say that you
Ex-
see
ex-
we have been telling you that Baba
exactly that.
is a violent man and
Exa-
his followers are
exactly
violent
that.
because
Exactly that.
they began by harassing this Korogosho MCA, and I
Eh,
think that one did not bear fruit.
you see, the whole idea is
Mm-hmm.
provoke these people to an extent. In fact, personally, I
Mm.
was a bit worried when I saw Baba go to round the Matiang'i place because chances are that Kenyans who cannot take it anymore could start marching to State House right away.
And you know, Kenyans yesterday, if you saw people who are talking here, they were so aggravated.
That is what they were after, so that the incitement would lead to such a situation whereby the the issuing of this executive order, especially
Mhm.
for a state of emergency, you need at least two thirds
Okay, let me read something.
of parliament.
For him, Ruto, I think is just how I was looking for something that what is his name? Nico Diambo. He calls himself what here? I don't know. Mzalendo
Yeah.
has been arguing here,
Mm.
and he's been talking about the Hague cases. Now, these people were charged of deportation. Mzalendo, I can see you are here. Nico Diambo. You people who don't know who Mzalendo is, his name is Nico Diambo. He's on the chat. Possible deportation, inhumane acts,
Mm.
murder, persecution, rape. Now, and the people who are accused, okay, Lala was right. I think the police commissioner was Mohammed Ali. The
Yes.
charges were not confirmed.
Mm.
Uhuru Kenyatta, the charges were withdrawn.
Mm.
Henry Kosgei, the charges were withdrawn.
Mm.
Francis Ngaura, the charges were withdrawn.
Mm.
Now, Walter Barasa, he's a fugitive. Paul Gishero was a fugitive until he surrendered himself. Philip Bett is a fugitive. Then William Ruto. Somebody define this for me, Germanian and non-script. William Ruto and Joshua San charges vacated. VACATED. What does that mean? That the charges are still there.
What I know, I don't know exactly what that, but what I know what happened is that
Mm-hmm.
the witnesses were interfered with to an extent whereby you do not have current evidence to sustain the case. But you see, the criminal issue still remains, and
Yes, I'm looking at
criminal.
the definition. The case still remains is because the evidence is not adding up. So there are two people who may be charged against Mzalendo wherever you are, Nico Diambo. One of the people that may be charged in The Hague is William Ruto and Joshua Sang. So now I'm going to what Kuseo a non-script is saying. If he's trying to incite people to violence, it can be seen now. Okay?
Well, evidence must be proved. Well, what I'm trying to tell you, this is just a script which these people are having.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks God, I was bringing in the issue of the fellows who have been arrested. These fellows thought that their supporters are so charged to an extent whereby they would go and start demanding their release at the police station there. Once you start doing that, the police who is going to respond. These fellows, since they are more, the chances are that they would even overpower the police. Or the police can even be told to run away. So that these fellows have an opportunity to issue this executive order that you see me hear me talking about. And once they do that,
Okay, so once they do that,
the
what next? Mm-hmm.
effect of this executive order is to suspend certain sections of the Constitution. For example, you are whatever for picketing would already be a
Germany, I see
suspended
you.
thing. Yeah, would already be a suspended thing. So it will now the security forces will be dealing with the demonstrators, the supporters, legal in a legal. They'll whatever you're saying would not be legal. They'll be dealing with it legally. And remember, he has already had enough support of what members of parliament to support this. That's why I was saying that he is having the long end of the stick on every step. You see?
Okay, so okay. Before you go, let me hear. Germany, you want to say something that unknown skills goes on? Yes, Germany.
Yes, Julia, I had two things. One is regarding what unknown script said. I had a contrary speculation. This is with regard to Matiang'i. My speculation is this, that there could be one force in government that wanted to teach Matiang'i a lesson out of impulsiveness and said, we are now in power, send policemen to go and get this man, grab him, throw him in, let him spend the night in the cells. In any case, we are approaching the weekend, so there will be no harm him spending the weekend there. He needs to be shown who is boss. As I said, that's my speculation. Then the more rational side came up and said, hold on, why are you sending people over there at this point when things are still hot? We may actually give people the reason or excuse to forge forward with the revolution they want. So let us be rational, let us have cool minds and cool heads. Let us slow down. Let us not make this a bigger issue than it ought to be. Why am I saying this? When the CS Kindiki Kithure then comes forward and says, anyone with information about the raid to report to the nearest police station, what is he saying? Because he's the one who is supposed to come and report back to Kenyans and say, this is what happened on that night. And we have established that so and so went there. And the reason they went there was on the strength of the following reasons. We called it off, or whoever it is called it off, and we are now back to status quo. But then again, the question arises, if the CS himself is coming to make that statement, where is the Inspector General? Because this is a statement that I would have expected him to personally come and make before Kenyans, in the spirit of accountability, that I am an independent institution. The following happened. It is under my watch that it happened. And here I am. I'm going to get to the bottom of it. Now, in the absence of answers to that question, then the speculation, as I said, on my side, is that there are two opposing forces. One in government that says, let us teach this man a lesson, and the other opposing force saying, let us have rational minds, let us approach this matter very soberly. Let us not give cause for an uprising that we will not be able to contain. That is as far as my speculation goes. Now I come back to Julia. You asked the question, what is decision to vacate charges? So I'm right now looking at the statement issued by the International Criminal Court on April 6th, 2016, and it is titled Statement of the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Fatou Bensouda, regarding trial chamber's decision to vacate charges against MCAs William Samuel Ruto, and Joshua Rapsang without prejudice to their prosecution in the future. Now I want to skip the initial first paragraph and move to the second paragraph. The chamber declined to acquit the accused due to the special circumstances of this case. In so doing, The chamber endorsed the prosecution's position that this case has been severely undermined by witness interference and politicization of the judicial process. The decision further noted that other evidence may have been available to the prosecution, and they quote directly, had it been able to prosecute the case in a different climate, less hostile to the prosecution, its witnesses, and the court in general. I want to read the next paragraph. The chamber made it clear that the decision is without prejudice to the presumption of innocence of the prosecution bringing the case on the basis of the same charges in the future or in a form in light of new evidence. This is on the ICC website. I don't know if that answers your question, Julia.
Yes, that answers my question. Now I understand. So my conclusion is that these cases can be revived. The case against President Ruto and Joshua Rapsang can be revived if evidence is found and new witnesses, people decide to be witnesses in that case. Now, why I was going there, now I'm going to your argument.
Just to add on that, Julia, Njaraine, Jaramani, just to add on that, you remember the Gicheru case? If you are all following, you know where it was heading, and why people are saying that very suspicious about his death. That basically was going to reopen that case. You can imagine if there were seven. They were saying there were 700 mentioned cases regarding the disappearances and the deaths of the witnesses. So, and I do not know now that Gicheru is dead. I do not know now which day.
I just wanted to add one more thing to what Julia was saying. Yeah, just one more thing to what you said. And I'm quoting here directly from the ICC website, that the decision further noted that other evidence may have been available to the prosecution had it been able to prosecute the case in a different climate, less hostile to the prosecution, its witnesses, and the court in general.
Okay, now I want to go back to an old script. So you people, the two of you, have not taken the bloggers' arguments. They have been going around that Matiang's harassment and arrest was all about Magoha's funeral. You've deviated from that, and now, okay, Germany. Now you are saying that okay, you didn't. I can't remember what you said was the first intention to arrest Matiang, but the second reasoning you said that, which I am almost after the reaction. You see, people go surround Matiang's house, and the reaction, we see 200 lawyers, and then we see Baba there. So if you are planning to harm Matiang, you might harm Baba. So if you harm these two people, then you just light in fire in the whole country. That's what you are doing. So if this person, remember, he has a case in The Hague. Naijaenda, unajua, once bitten twice shy. Hata kama wewe ni president. Nyinyi mliona Bashir akijificha. You remember the story of Bashir hiding, playing hide and seek, the international community. And at one time, I think Kenya hid him somewhere. Imagine you are the president of a country and you have to be hidden by another country because you're about to be arrested. So this is a person called Zakayo. Amepitia hayo. Na hiyo, nyinyi mnakumbuka hizo case hata Uhuru haikuwa kuchekwa, even there was no love even for Uhuru there. There were no jokes. So now I'm going to Germany's argument. So they want to harass and intimidate Matiang for whatever reason. I don't know how Magoha. Okay, the issue of Mahoga's funeral, I don't think it is real. If it is real, then I would really underrate this Kenya Kwanza government. Now, I want to think about other things. This was my reason of Matiang's harassment. Seemingly, Matiang is still pulling strings. You know, you cannot just wish him away. Na kuna maneno Kenya Kwanza wanajua where Matiang'i can pull strings here and there. He can still pull strings. Nyi mnajua wale walimu wamekuwa transferred kwa shule ama wamekuwa demoted. What happens? Most of the time they leave the school burning. Most of the time the kids go on strike and they burn down the schools. So there were days, those days when the child could be transferred and could be escorted to the school gate and could not be allowed to come back. Because if that teacher ever came back, the likely thinks the kids will go on rampage or something. So maybe Matiang'i is still pulling strings here and there. And now the Kenya Kwanza government must try and humiliate him from left and right now. So plan to humiliate him. But where I want to disagree with you, Jeremiah, there is only one master planner in this government. There is only one police commissioner. There is only one cabinet secretary. There is only one deputy president. There is only one cabinet secretary for interior security, for defense, for finance, for roads, for industry, for agriculture, and his name is William Samoei Ruto. And he's the police commissioner. He's everything. He's even the judge. So he pulled the strings last night, and the plan was set. Then Goja Kwanza, akaangalia akaona, I don't know where this will end. Now I want to agree with Jeremiah. I don't know where this will end. Unajua unaweza fanya kitu uchomewe. You can imagine a situation where there is chaos in Nairobi and the president cannot even step in the Nairobi. One thing I want to tell you, the police will not behave the way they behave in the days of Moi. Let me tell you, that is a fact. Even in the days of Uhuru, hata Uhuru hawakwenda sana. After the days of Baby Pendo, that was outrageous. And that policeman should be arrested wherever he is. Whoever shot that baby. Because tumetoka mbali. Saizi, ati mtu kwenda na bunduki and aim at Kenyans. I'm telling you, nobody will do that. And even Kome will think that these things are all fresh in our minds. See, I'm not very old. Jeremiah is not very old. Duke sijui kama najua maneno, he may be younger, lakini I know scripts we can still recall the Hague process. And Kome, I think, is older than me. He can recall very well. Yes, the police commissioner was Itere, na hata Itere alipelekwa mbio, mnakumbuka? Alipelekwa. He was on the, alipelekwa. Nobody was peaceful that time. So one thing I'm very sure, that Kome will think very hard before sending armed policemen against the people of Kenya. So the least he can do is GSU, na wale warungu na tear gas. Na ile tear gas ya Kibaki, na ile maji baridi tulikuwa tunaona ya Kibaki. Na ile tulikuwa tunaona maji baridi, we saw horses, Kibaki did all sorts of things, we saw them. That is a match they can do. Now, supposedly, maybe Ruto thought twice he had a nightmare. And he woke up and he found he had been chased from Nairobi. Because let me say this, if Baba decides to call 1 million people, just 1 million, now I'm here to Kutane Harambee House. First, you will not touch Baba. Ata ufanye nini, you will not touch him. There are people who are not touchable here. Hawezi guzwa. You will not do anything. So what will the police do? How many policemen do we have in Kenya? Think about it. If you're a policeman in Kenya, what will you do? Run for your dear life. You'll say you reported to duty and on scripts and the pressure was too much. So that is what will happen. So I think the person who I'm saying is a president, is a deputy president, is a police commissioner, is a cabinet secretary for interior secretary. He's only one person. He woke up, he had a nightmare, and he decided to change this thing. So that's where you saw Kome come out saying. But the others, then no scripts is saying that he's planning to stage a stage of emergency. Who cares? That state of emergency and no scripts is what will send Kenyans to the streets. That will what tell them, now wake up and go to the streets proper. That is what will tell them. But then this one, my honest take is, this one was going to disorganize Baba, because I think Baba is having a well choreographed plan. Meet the people. Tell them exactly what we are doing. And he's also trying to follow the law. That we did 1, 2, 3, 4, according to the Constitution of Kenya. And this is what we are doing next. That is what Baba, he's not, if you tell people, bunge wananchi, let's go march to State House, the likely thing they may fail because you didn't organize them. You didn't, but now this one calls for, the last thing that Baba may do, if need be, we'll call for now mobilizing Kenyans, telling them hata kama ni mabasi muingie, kama ni kutembea mtembee na ng'ombe zenyu kutoka Masailand, Wakamba mtembee kutoka Mkambani, wengine mtembee kutoka Kiambu. Let us meet at he has to be organized. We cannot just wake up one day that Matiang'i was arrested, let us march. And that is what now no scripts you may say. And Jeremiah, that was the first plan, that Kenyans will storm into the streets and throw stones and do all that bra. But that didn't work. So apparently it failed. Okay, no scripts utamalizia, tumekata mara mingi, endelea, then we can invite Duke Omariba.
Yeah, how are you, Duke? Basically, what I wanted to say is that all those things Jeremiah said, the script is a multi-script. It's a multi-script. What you are saying are all on the card. What you need to understand, Magoa issue is there. There is already a very big tug of war on the Magoa funeral. You remember they tried to upstage all the first group by, you remember Gachagua coming up to declare, almost ordering that nobody should bother about food. That nobody should bother about food. Him and Ruto are going to take care, and they will make sure that everybody who turns up there will have enough to eat. Now, the other thing is,
did Gachagua say that they're giving them food to make sure they have enough to eat?
Oh my goodness! They took over the food, the chairs, and you see, the Uhuru side had come up with Tuju and Matiang'i to work hand in hand with the family to ensure that Magoa gets a befitting send-off. Now, the following 2 days, Gachagua came forward to declare what the government is going to do. And he did not just stop. He gave the specifics of what they will be doing. And that is where he was mentioning about food and the what have you, and other procurements. I think even the seats and the chairs and what have you. They have said what they will be doing. So in other words, they do not expect the other group to be bothered with what else they are going to bring on board. But then you do realize, like me personally, I also didn't know that Magoa and Tuju are related. I did not know that. So that has put Matiang'i and Tuju squarely. They were going to be the masters of ceremonies here. And because the KK side have no way of pushing that arrangement out, that is why the president would not be attending.
So the fact that the president is not attending drove him nuts. Mpaka he had to harass Matiang'i at night.
No, because some people can get so candid in that forum and tell him on his face what they feel like. We have freedom of everything. What would he do? I already heard some people saying that the president can come, but he cannot come to address people from his car rooftop.
So he will not come as the president. He will come as a Mona.
No. I'm told he has made up his mind he's not going to attend.
What about Gachagua? Is Gachagua attending the funeral?
I do not think so. Because of the rhetoric which has been coming out. One of them was, you are trying to dictate to the president if he is coming what he must not do. And I think to avoid unnecessary confrontation, even if you are the one, I think you just opt out. So to that extent, everything has been left in the hands of Matiang'i and Tuju. And just to add on what Jeremiah was trying to say, there was also another school of thought that they were hoping that Matiang'i would remain buried in Karen to an extent whereby you, fearing to be arrested, he was not going to go to the funeral. He had been he's a big participant in that funeral. So to teach them a lesson, like the way Njeramani was saying, was they were hoping that Matiang'i would not. But I think with the this what do you call it? This bail. They call it what bail? They call it anticipatory bail.
Anticipatory bail, yeah.
Now Matiang'i would be able to go and attend that.
And now they cannot arrest him at night.
They cannot arrest him at night. But the other reason also I agree with Njeramani is that maybe nobody expected that Baba would appear there. The moment Baba appeared there, they realized this thing could take a different route, which they had not.
And I was told there was a team of 200 lawyers.
Yeah, but the thing could take a different route, which they had not anticipated.
But why then Kenya Kwanza is saying they didn't know what was happening?
But they are beating a retreat. For me, they are quickly beating a retreat. They realize that things are not going the way they had planned. So even if you are the ones, you think of how else do you get off this? And that's why I started by saying that, strictly speaking, it is the DCI and the Inspector General who should be telling Matiang'i who was surrounding his home. Isn't it? They should have a record of all the people who visited Matiang'i that night. Yeah.
And they should actually investigate and arrest some people because they are CCTV cameras.
They have everything they need.
And then why is Kenya Kwanza telling people to go and report? If you hear there was suspected crime around a person and that person is of significance, you go and do investigations. And if you can, because there are cameras there, you arrest the people who came to do that. If they are not,
that's part of the crisis management now. You see, you are strategized things to go this way. You realize they are not going that route. So you come up, you clip on anything which can save you to dilute and to do the crisis management. Then secondly, there is another something which Njeramani left out, the Uhuru factor. The reasons why the Matiang'i is purportedly to be shown taught a lesson is Uhuru. Some people are even trying to say that, in fact, I remember those demonstrators in Kisii, they were saying that why don't they just go straight for Uhuru instead of harassing their son? You remember? There were some demonstrations in Kisii. They said that they do not want their son to be punished or harassed for sins committed by Uhuru. Uhuru is there. Why can't they go for him? Why can't they go for him? Well, those are there are very many other narratives which maybe we don't need to share here. As to the whole
what
thing.
are those other narratives you don't want to share with us?
Anyway, all of them, as far as the grapevine is saying, is they are trying out to legally institute what they call Executive Order Number 2.
How will that help Kenya Kwanza? Will not make the government more unstable? Because who knows? Let me ask
because you see what the Azimio team is doing, and remember now it is not Azimio, it is MDDD. I don't know whether you understand why the difference is important. Because if you leave it Azimio, then you give KK a voice. In other words, it's like they are answering Azimio. Remember, this thing is Kenya. It is not Azimio. It is Kenya. And that is why it is important to have a movement and not a party. We don't want a situation whereby if ever we want to take you to Hague, isn't it? Then you start looking for this party. No. Go for the movement. And the movement is owned by Kenyans, isn't it?
So if he declares a state of emergency, how many Kenyans understand what is a state of emergency?
Number one.
I have to look at it and read what it is.
Number one, you see right now these parents are picketing because that is part of the constitution. With a state of emergency, certain sections of the constitution are suspended. So you not be saying that you are expressing your anything. No. And that is why you need what? You need the, once it is passed by parliament, he has now the free hands to deal with you what from by all practical purposes is legally. You see, right now, if you start going to stop them, to block them, if they start to go to parliament, which is a public place, they start to go to state house, which is a public place, you'll be told that they're exercising their right, isn't it?
Yes.
But under the state of emergency rules, those things are suspended.
So do you think that will stop Kenyans from doing that if they want to?
No, not even just that, but it will justify them to go chasing people all over the place, arresting them.
Okay, if people decide to be okay, I will stop here that we call Duke. If people decide to be like 1 million in Nairobi, state of emergency or no state of emergency, whom are you going to arrest in particular?
No, I'm not saying that you are going to arrest. All I'm saying is
Mm-hmm.
you cannot claim now that you are exercising your constitutional right. It was suspended through the executive order. You see why we are fearing this terrorist attack thing. It can be used to cause chaos in the marches, Kenyans marching revolutions. Then what will they say? We already forewarned you. The thing is not safe. We are not sure of exactly who has caused the trouble, isn't it? And assuming now in the process, even the Azimio leaders get hurt, they would be told, no, because of security reasons, there are issues of terrorist attacks, there are dangers, please do not do X, Y, Z. Now, if you find, for example, if you take the Sonko script, whereby they were buying T-shirts for their own supporters to wear, then go and cause chaos and blame it on ODM, you remember? They can actually, under the way things are, go and buy the uniform. You see the MDDD uniform. They can go and buy it and for their supporters. Then they go marching to State House and start stoning cars there. Even start stoning State House. Now that the executive order will then be issued, then it will allow the forces to respond with the force.
Okay, the forces responding, I think
with the force.
That one is we to combine. Lakini kuse, I mean, anonsikizi wacha tupatie Duke na sasa amekaa, then we go on with that debate. Duke, karibu.
Yes, good morning, good evening. I would disagree with the conspiracy theories of scripts because they are not strongly convincing me. But the two sides of the story, or the two options which say that there was government officials or officers who were trying to arrest Matiang'i, the two sides is whether that was true or whether that was false. So I can argue only from those two perspectives. And indeed, if it was true that individuals attempted to arrest him, then another question arises. Did they come from independent and mandated institutions? Or did they come from the president? So if it's from the president, then that is the misuse of power, because we have independent mandated institutions to prosecute individuals. So that is it. Number two, if it's from the independent institutions, it should be carried in a proper way, because I always complain that this situation or action of whereby you find that the mandated institutions, they arrest somebody on Friday and on Monday is out, that is something, everything ends like that. So that's like stupidity, because issues must be addressed to a conclusion. For example, if somebody is involved in corruption, the resources are recovered, and that assists a country. So the institutions should not just try to appear that they are functioning or they are doing something. They should do something accurately to the conclusion and openly during the day. But also we can comment about politics of that. Maybe it can also be politics, because one of the conspiracy theory which I confirmed is that maybe because when Matiang'i went to Magoa's fund something, and he made a statement, and maybe the current government did not want individuals in the past who were maybe involved in trying to work hard to ensure that Ruto is not becoming president, also to start getting involved in actually criticizing or making statements which are irritating. Maybe that may be one, or trying to carry him, something of that kind. Also, it may be politics to send a message to Asmio that there is a red line, or maybe if you continue doing something, because there has been a talk that people will protest or march into the state house, something of that kind. So it's like trying to send a message that nobody is powerful. If there must be limits to. They are reminding them that there is a government and you have to have limits in whatever what you are saying. But still, I doubt the reality of that story, because actually, I know Matiang'i is assigned like 2 to 3 security officers of the government. I think that the first individual who should be called out to give a statement about the situation, because it's not accurate. We don't understand properly. Did those people come and request the door to the gate to be opened, or did they start to break the door, something of that kind? So we still don't have accurate information of what transpired, and also I think even the reporting has that be reported to maybe the police station, something of that kind, or how it was reported, or there is evidence of that, because I know that area is like the security is intensified actually throughout the entire area. There are a lot of CCTV cameras, so that if they can come up with one evidence of that, then we can know that the situation was, we can actually make conclusive conclusion from what actually, or establish the reality of what was going on. So that's what I can say. Then on the case of Felix Oduor, what I can say is this. You see, we need to, there is what we call, when you find that people are trying to force some individuals to have a given stand or to have a given opinion, it's wrong, because I'm told that when he was interviewed, Spice FM, what he said is that the first time when Ruto was launching the housing program in his constituency, he asked permission from Raila Odinga to go there. And Raila Odinga said that if indeed you are going for the development issues or something of that kind, you are free to go anytime. You don't have to ask permission for that. So he went on that ground and actually said that he politically expressed himself, because he was saying that if he will not be there, and that is a mega project within his constituency, then maybe opponents may come up to attack him or to take political advantage, and that's what he was trying to say. But the problem which I can see on the Asmio side is that how to solve differences. There is no an organized way of solving or harmonizing people with different perspectives or different opinions. You know, in politics, if you try to force people to buy one side, it will be difficult because some people who are maybe very opinionated may actually move away. So I think that, and I'm told that around the 2 members of ASMIO are against the so-called demonstrations. So it means if they are going to be forced that they must accept that, then what does that say? It means maybe they are being compelled to move out. And if they move out, that means there is a political weakness on the ASMIO side. Then how is the ASMIO coalition governed? For example, how is the course of action taken? Because does the secretariat or the readers come and consult members of parliament, something of that kind, or senators or governors on what to, or it's actually a small group of people who decides that now we are going to do ABCD and that becomes final. So I think those are the issues which must be addressed. So that's what I can say for now.
Due question. So what did Matiang say? I can't remember. What did she say that annoyed KK so much? Okay, I can't remember. I'm not just asking.
What he said, when they went to Magoa's home with the former president, he said that let nobody cheat you that they are the one who have implemented or who are implementing the CPC. It's Magoa who worked hard to make it function. That's the statement which Matiang'i made.
So is that what is annoying KKA so much? I mean, does it warrant his harassment, according to you?
You know, we are not sure because that's why I said one of the conspiracy theory which I confront, and I'm not sure about. I was trying to argue politically. All I was trying to reason what may be the reason, if it's true that the government sent some officers to harass him. So I was trying to figure to add conspiracy theories on top of what script said.
Okay, so ni kama sahii serikali naona Matiang'i ako na madharau sana. Okay, I'm trying to think in terms of if Ruto. Ni kama wanaona kama ako na madharau sana. Okay, another question, Duke. Do you think these MPs can prevent the riders followers from going to the streets? Let's say, Duke, let's say even all these MPs wote wa Jubilee na wote wa ODM waende waseme ni wa Kenya Kwanza. Can they prevent the protesters from going to the streets?
You see, we have what you call mandated institutions as per the constitution. So actually, the government uses the institutions, whether you agree with them or you are against that. I'm very sure that the proceedings of parliament, the policies of the executive, and the decisions of the judiciary are the ones which are going to be obeyed within this country. So if you have a situation whereby you are weak in parliament and you are weak in the executive and you are weak everywhere, then it means that you can actually not contribute as per the constitution. Maybe if you are trying to come up with a bill in parliament or specific changes which requires a given number of members of parliament, it's very difficult for you to attain that. And also, those members of parliament, they are strong for it's not that they are just like one citizen. Maybe we may disagree on the number, but they have some influence. Maybe you are talking about the former governor of, is it Migori or what? Or Obado or what? So those people have some strong following. It may be not as compared to what Raila has, but it's because those more supports what weakens the coalitions. And most people are arguing that another mistake which Raila made before the 2013 election is that it was unable to solve issues with William Ruto, because there was actually a small disagreement in his ministry. Maybe there was something. So if you know how to manage that, that's something you can maybe meet and talk about that. And people agree that if 2013 William Ruto was supporting Raila Odinga, he will win. He was maybe to win something of that kind. And the people are having the same with Musalia Mudavadi, with Wetangula in 2017. So that's incapability of trying to solving small issues. You end up ignoring that these people don't have support, something of that kind. But at the end, you will see that impact. For example, Wetangula, look at what Wetangula was able to bring to William Ruto's side. So I think everybody must be respected, and there is no support which is too small. It adds up to and becomes the substantial. That's what I can say.
Okay, yeah, Duke, I agree with you that if Raila is going to go to Parliament to discuss these things, then I think he'll not have any support. But I don't think Baba and his supporters care about Parliament any longer. I don't think they care. In fact, I don't think they're going to give Parliament any, even the judiciary, any importance. However, kuna watu walikuwa wameinua mkono, naona Stone PK ameingia. I go to who? Unknown scripts. Then was Jeremiah, was your hand up? Okay, unknown scripts. Then we can go to Stone.
You see, what Duke is saying is true, but Duke should remember what you have just said. How much weight does Azimio put to who is supporting who or what have you? You do realize that in a way, Baba is basically now interested in the supporters of the party going forward, not the MPs as such. But you have to remember that when Ruto visited is it Kebra the other day, when he was talking about starting the building of the affordable houses, it was way back. I think Baba did actually try quite a lot to explain the circumstances. Why, number one, this Jalango fellow cannot be excused. One thing you need to know is that when Ruto went for the affordable housing in Kibra, that meeting, the whistleblowing dossier was not there. And Baba had not stated that he has not recognized the current president. The idea that Ruto actually lost the elections was not as clear as it is today. So then, remember, this Jalango fellow is the one Baba voted for. Number one, is the Baba voted for. And if you are conversant with the politics of Kibera and Langata, they say Kibera is the bedroom, Langata is the sitting room. Baba voted in the sitting room. In other words, he actually voted for Jalango. And during this meeting that they had, the parliamentary group meeting, he did state that when they came out and to say that they are rejecting the legitimacy for the current president, it was the Azimio coalition party. And that is why he was saying that the party position is that Ruto is not the recognized president as far as things are now. So what Duke is saying that Jalango had asked permission from Baba and Baba had agreed. That was before they declared that Ruto is not the legitimate president. So we need to remember that. Then there is the issue about this parliament thing. You do realize that Ruto is trying to have parliament stamp whatever actions he's preparing to deal with. He's preparing to deal with the impending revolution through the existing institutions, parliament being one of them. That's why you see them. I'm told that the Mount Kenya MPs were paid almost, they spent more than 3 times what they spent on the Nyanza MPs. They spent, for the Mount Kenya MPs, they were spending 3 times. You can imagine. And
Yani Nyanza MPs are so cheap.
no.
Is that true?
Well, maybe. But then the thing is that they want the 2/3 to pass everything they are going to take to parliament. And there are very many things being taken to parliament which they want passed. Remember, the issue of the Asla Fund is yet to be ratified there. The issue of the official opposition is yet to be ratified there. There is this budget estimates is yet to be passed there. All these issues, all the impending changes, they even want to change the constitution. They need the 2/3, and that explains why the buying of the MPs. And I'm told that we are yet to see, it is still going on. Now, what I don't understand is Kenyan MPs have fallen so low that just by the dangling of money, the same way I was trying to regret why our bishops have become so cheap. You see, they are all now materialistic. The bishops have forgotten their spiritual duty. They have all gone and I was wondering whether we are all helpless. Guru, I can see Guru here. Maybe you'll say something. We are all helpless about these bishops. Maybe it is also time we start a revolution in the church, so that the bishops who are mistaking us the wrong into a ditch, we name them. We name them and tell them why we don't agree with the way they are doing things. Let me give somebody else a chance. Thank you. Jeremiah, is it?
Yes, Jeremani. So unasikia Jeremani, umetoka mkoa wa Nyanza. Sasa nyinyi mnanunua na pesa ngapi? Mimi sijui wale watu wetu. Kama Jarangu alipewa, Nguru umepewa kitu. Kama Jarangu alipewa 50 million. So the Mount Kenya MPs were getting 150 million. Nguru, hata wewe ungelikuwa MP, ungelikuwa tajiri leo. 150 million. Yes, Jeremani.
Mine was on the state of emergency, and I wanted to read just a few articles on the state of emergency. This is the Constitution of Kenya 2010. So it says the state of emergency can be declared only under Article 132(4)(d), only when the state is threatened by war, invasion, general insurrection, disorder, natural disaster, or other public emergency. And the declaration is necessary to meet the circumstances for which the emergency is declared. So that is 58 clause 1. And I will skip to clause 5, which says the Supreme Court may decide the validity of a declaration of a state of emergency. The Supreme Court may decide the validity of any extension, and the extension here comes from this caveat in 58 clause 3 that the national I skipped. This comes from clause 58 from the Constitution 58(2), which says the declaration of emergency and any legislation enacted or other action taken in consequence of the declaration shall be effective only prospectively and for not longer than 14 days. So the caveat is that it can only be extended for not longer than 2 months at a time. What am I trying to say here? That yes, the state of emergency law is there, and here adding a little bit more information to what a no script shared. Supreme Court, the validity of a state of emergency can be challenged. It's not an open check as was in the colonial times, because it was in the colonial times that the state of emergency was deployed at the will of the governor. Now, in the current era, if you decide to use the state of emergency, it can work double-sided. Did you declare it validly, and for which case can be brought the Supreme Court? Of course, at this point, the question is the Supreme Court working arm in arm with the executive? So a favorable ruling may be issued
Did they say,
in favor
where it can be challenged,
So
Jeremani? Did they say where it can be challenged?
the validity of the emergency can be challenged in the Supreme Court.
So the Supreme Court must be on your side for them to listen to you, isn't it?
That is the thing. So that is as far as the Supreme Court goes. But I wanted to make a comment on what Duke shared. Duke talked about the differences between Raila and William Ruto. History records that as far back as 2004, thereabout, William Ruto was facing a court case in which land was sold in Ngong to the Kenya Pipeline Company for 272 million shillings. The case had been dragging on for some time in the courts, and when the 2010 constitution was promulgated, one of the things that was in the constitution was that state officers facing court processes should resign until they are cleared. So at the time, the Prime Minister was Raila Odinga, and he invoked that clause and said, I have the following people in my side who are facing court process. And with the new constitution in place, it is my submission that they step aside until they are cleared by court. And that was the latest genesis, or the historical genesis of the departure between the two of them. Of course, we also remember there were embers simmering regarding the ICC, but the one that got Raila to take action against Ruto at the time was the 272 million shilling Ngong land case sold to the Kenya Pipeline Company. That was the key departure. Go and face the criminal, or not criminal, but the court process. When you're cleared, we will look at you. And he was reinstated by Kibaki, and of course, the differences lingered. That was the bit of information that I just wanted to share. Thank you.
So their problems go far and wide. Stone PK. Stone, did you just disappear on us after reappearing? Stone PK, are you there? Ama tukaribishe Nguru. Duke, do you want to rebut so that we welcome? Okay, Duke want to say something before I welcome Nguru.
Yes, you remember, I'm not talking about the facts of the underwritings. I'm talking about politics. For example, I asked you, why did the Pentagon disintegrate? All of you know how Pentagon was very strong. It's because of minor issues which can be addressed maybe by people having a small conference, something of that kind. But because of maybe it was the strategy of the opponents or those who are opposed to Raila to do away with the Pentagon, and they succeeded doing that. So in politics, sometimes you have to scrutinize political consequences, because if maybe you are pursuing a cause and the only way you can bring change is to become the president first, then even if some people who are dirty in that case can assist you in a way, you don't do away with them. So that's why they say in politics you work with the circumstances on the ground, because maybe if Ruto was corrupt, he does not want somebody who's corrupt, but he went away. But because he just somebody who's corrupt, it means he cannot become the president. That means you cannot change the status quo. So what's the right way forward? Try to persevere with that passion, then you become the president, then you bring the changes which you want, or you do away with that person, and then your political career is curtailed. So that's what I was trying to say. About the emergency, something of that. Yes, that one can be done, because, and I'm very sure, maybe if people try to demonstrate into State House the way most Azimio members are trying to do what, to propose, indeed the president can do that. Or if there is a nationwide demonstrations whereby people are dying, properties being destroyed. And that's why in 2007, the government failed to bring the state of emergency. Maybe many people and property were not to die like that. But not, so I think it can come in. So that's what I can respond on that.
Okay, asante Duke. Maybe there are Germany and no scripts. You come back to that. Nguru, karibu. Nguru, can you wake up? Good morning. Kuna watu wanasema hapa umekula mayai mingi na ndoma. Arurut atumeshiba sana. It is Brian. Richard is claiming that Guru has eaten too much breakfast. So
arrowroot.
Yes, tunazita ndoma kwa Kikuyu. Sasa Guru, good morning. Good to see you. Bado hatujalala.
Morning to you. Let me first say those are blessings that, when you have enough to eat, it means you are blessed, especially in a country where many are sleeping hungry.
So you are not missing unga.
This is not a joke. I think also Kenyans will have to adjust to other foodstuffs and stop this obsession of unga. That's the only way to solve the problem we have. Why is it that only Kenya with such obsession? You don't find it in Uganda, you don't find it in Tanzania. Yet our climates also accommodate many other foodstuffs. But we have been colonized in a way. Our minds only think of food as unga. Anyway, those are the peculiar behaviors of Kenyans. I understand we have our own peculiar behaviors that are not consistent with others across the world. We are Kenyans. And it is precisely because of that today you hear an MP saying he wants to go to State House because of development. Yet the constitution that we have is very clear on how you get development to your area. It is more of a parliamentary process than the benevolence of the president. Therefore, I think our politicians have this tendency to take us back where we are coming from. The 2010 Constitution was meant to remove this perception that you can only get development when you go close to the presidency. Today, there is that is a perception that is trying to perpetuate even up to today, that those regions that may have voted for a party that did not contribute to the presidency have no right to development, or they made a mistake. They made a mistake that will cost them development funds. It's a very serious perception, because this, precisely because of this perception, that you find our elections have become a do or die affair. Because when you put communities or people under siege, that they can only get good things from the government if they are at the center of the executive, then what you are doing is to court violence. That is why today most Kenyans cannot believe that you can get fair hearing or even fair treatment from somebody of another community. I think the likes of George Mangoha are very unique, but he has also pronounced himself numerous times that the position he held had nothing to do with his community. And in fact, he said that he had enough through his professional life, to the extent that he would not waste his time competing for tenders in his ministry, because that is where the other problem is. So he was a unique leader who saw Kenya as an entity, and Kenyans as equal, and needed equal treatment across the country. That is why he would today be in Meru, tomorrow he is in Bomet, the other day he is in Kibera, in Nairobi, and the other day he is in Mombasa. When we don't have leaders of the George Mangoha type, then the country is in trouble. Today, MPs are being called to State House, apparently because of development projects. Then you ask yourself, is the president going to meet 290 MPs from across the political parties so that their constituencies can get development funds? These perceptions that the MPs are trying to put and perpetuate in our country are not healthy at all. It is a way of killing the parliament. The parliament has ceased to become the watchdog of the common people, simply because the MPs themselves are guilty of intruding into the mandate of the executive. Even after the courts passed or made a judgment that CDF was an illegal, fund. It is an illegality. The executive in cahoot with the MPs have gone ahead and implemented it as it were. So when you have a country of that nature, then there's a problem. Today, if your constituents don't see you visiting State House, they think they are quite disadvantaged, in the sense that they will not get development funds. I understand now it is gone even to defining communities. You heard yesterday Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka saying the State House had invited MPs from Makueni. Why Makueni? In total exclusion of Machakos and Kitui. It's just a way of playing with the minds of the people. This kind of politics was last witnessed in the 1980s and 90s through Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, where you go and define communities you divide people, you kind of portray a picture where those who don't support the ruling party are seen as people who are against the development of their people. And then you have a very convoluted political environment. You saw what happened to Jarango. Jarango wants to eat from both sides of his mouth. He says that he was called to State House, and that even if he was called today and Raila told him not to go, he would still go. And then he still says he loves Baba and he is loyal to the political party that sponsored him to parliament. I think that is taking politics as comedy. It doesn't work like that. And in any case, there's maybe no problem by visiting the president, but why would you hide this from your party leader, that he comes to learn about it when you are in State House? I am happy that the political parties that form Azimio are taking a firm stand that if you go to State House, you should be prepared to go home, that disciplinary action will be taken. It is good that Azimio is left with only those people who believe in its ideologies. It doesn't matter whether the MPs will be left very few, but committed ones. In fact, if you look at the history of this country, multipartyism was started, the agitation for multipartyism was started by a handful of people. The others came to catch up later on when they saw that the masses have moved. I see a similar situation happening where the sitting MPs will be seen as people who are just trying to feather their nests, and against the background of the sufferings of the people. And that's why today Jarango may not find it very easy to go and conduct any activity around Rangata, because the people are not foolish. They know that you need to have a stand. Okay? So, and many others, by the way. In Central, I see a situation whereby new leadership could emerge from this agitation, and the sitting MPs find themselves on the outside, and they will start running to see whether they can be accommodated. That's the way it worked in those years, and I believe it can work that way even now. So when somebody goes to State House, it doesn't mean you have moved with the people. It doesn't mean the complaints that people have against the state or the government disappear. I saw a certain confidence in Raila, in Kalonzo, in Kioni. They are not pleading with the MPs not to go to visit the State House. No, they are telling them to go and go. So this perception that is being created that when somebody visits State House, it's a whole community that has followed him into the State House, I think is a misconception. It could end up hurting some people very badly, politically, very soon. Thank you, Julia.
Actually, it's. I think you are right, Miss Sanguru, or I believe you are right because we've been here before again and again, and we were in the days of multi-party. I mean, Guru, remember, multi-party began with two people, Kenneth Matiba and Rubia, and the rest, everybody else was in Kanu, right? Si wangesema tuko wawili peke yetu. Then the likes of Jaramogi joined them, Paul Moite, Masida Murilo. I mean, so many people joined them. So I think whether they go to Kenya Kwanza or they don't go to Kenya Kwanza, that may not affect what Kenyans think right now. Now, naona Jeremani Mkone, sijui PK umeenda wapi? PK, are you there? PK, unapika ugali ama unafanya nini? Jeremani, karibu.
Anapika arrowroots.
Thank you. Thank you, Julia.
Ugali haipatikani.
Thank you, Julia. I wish to join Guru in the sentiments he has shared. He has triggered something in memory, especially with regard to multi-party elections or multipartism, restoration of multipartism back in 1991 as we headed to the 1992 elections. Now, when the agitations for multi-party democracy started, Masinde Muliro was well positioned to become the leader of the joint forum for the restoration of democracy. Masinde Muliro was working to bring together a coalition of all the opposition party leaders, including Jaramogi Oginga Odinga and other luminaries at the time. It happened that they had built sufficient momentum for Masinde Muliro to be elected the leader of the joint forum for restoration of democracy. And then Masinde Muliro took a trip to the UK. And that trip to the UK was organized by people like Wajakoya. So Masinde Muliro was going to address Kenyans living in the UK in that particular forum. He interrupted his campaigns back in Kenya to fly out, and he went together with the gentleman Musikari Kombo. The idea was for them to go and address the meeting, return back, and then enhance their campaigns to become leader of the joint opposition, FORD. Of course, Masinde Muliro went to the UK, made his address. When he was coming back, Masinde Muliro spotted something very interesting, very curious, that Nicholas Biwott was on the same flight with him. And he wondered, why is this gentleman on the same flight with me going and the same flight coming back? Of course, Masinde Muliro collapsed at the airport when he was returning. And that was the end of his campaign for a joint FORD ticket or joint opposition ticket. Then shortly thereafter, Matiba also came in and FORD split into FORD Asili, the original FORD, and all the other splinters followed then. But that's just a trigger for memory or for historical purposes. What I wanted to submit as my contribution at this point was I was looking at the numbers by the whistleblower available on the IEBC whistleblower, and I see those numbers look very interesting. One of the questions that I had for the plans that I had Raila share for meetings going to take place around the country in the coming week was, is there going to be a forum where he will address Kenyans in diaspora? I say this because it has been shown, proven, that Kenyans in diaspora provide some of the strongest support for the Azimio group, especially arising from the number of votes that the Azimio coalition garnered. And I wanted to propose one forum that Raila Odinga can use, just in the same way that Gaucho Ghetto President and Okanga were hosted by Bernard on Mutembei TV. Is it not possible that Raila can also be hosted on Mutembei TV and interact with the Azimio followers that wish to listen to him speak and have questions and answers? Not everyone will be in studio, but of course we have the comment section. Probably Julia, Stone PK, and all the other key people, you can see how that can be floated for consideration. Finally, my observation or opinion of what is happening with Jalango is that he is exhibiting what we call the folly of a political greenhorn. When Jalango is on one side saying he was going to State House because of the housing projects and he was trying to get development in his area for his people, he must remember that as a new member of parliament, usually, and for those who have done chemistry, it is the atoms on the outer periphery that are easiest to be absorbed. The atoms at the center of the nucleus are the hardest to form isotopes. So you should be very careful that he does not become the soft spot that can be used in the Azimio camp to create perceptions and impressions that the Kenya Kwanza team has acolytes within the Azimio sector. He should first build his political wings, build his political base, create the strongest allies within Azimio before we can make overtures to State House and say, I'm now here to do business with you. Because you may remember, when you fly close to the sun, it's easy for your wax to melt and the feathers to fall off. Thank you, Julia.
Asante, thanks for telling us about multi-party democracy. Actually, the people who are in parliament or in government did not support the multi-party struggle. So even now, I think Baba doesn't need the parliament. He doesn't need even the judiciary, because after all, now we know they have failed us. Now, Umesemati, we invite Baba. That's a good suggestion. But you know, Baba is a big fish. Jeremani. Sijui kama tumefika hapo kwa big fish. He would like to have him here, but he's really a big fish. He's a big fish. But maybe there's a time, Jeremani, you are not here. There's a time, Mother. We had the opportunity to interact with Mother, like on Mutembei, Mother Karua, when she came to the US through somebody called Mama Serena. So maybe such things may arise. We may have such opportunities. We hope we'll have. Alex, naomba utoke kwa curtain so that tutii sheria hapa, so that we don't keep nagging people to watoke kwa curtain na wewe uko kwa curtain. We will appear unfair.
No, I think I'm being hacked. I mean, nimekuwa nimekishindwa kuingia ndani, nikiingia kamera inakataa, so it's not me.
Yeah, lakini tunaomba ujaribu kuwa kwa camera so that I have the moral authority to tell people to be on camera.
Okay, I will get out because it's not I mean, nimejaribu imekataa. I mean, it's just, it keeps on coming in and out.
Sawa, ongea kwanza before you are hacked. Karibu.
No, I'll just get out. I'll come. I'll try to come. I'll try to come.
Okay. So
Julia,
I don't know.
just a point of information, if you don't mind, for
Okay,
the issue around the MPs who visit State House. During the meeting in Athi River, Baba did state that if you are going to discuss matters affecting a party, you should check the party position before you go to discuss such with the president. But then the issue of the 9 MPs, I hope the panel is aware that the disciplinary procedures have been set in motion and they are being disciplined with a view to expelling them. So Njiramani, maybe Jalango may not have chance to toe the line the way you are saying, because the expulsion, the trigger is already been out.
I'm also seeing something that I didn't follow when Matiang'i was making a report, that he's saying that Yusuf Haji, the prosecutor Haji and Ruto planned his arrest when they went for a meeting in Mombasa. And Haji has challenged him. And Haji is saying he's going to take a step about that. He's going to do something about it. So if Haji doesn't sue Matiang'i, then we shall believe Matiang'i's story, right? Because Haji is saying that he'll follow that how can Matiang'i accuse him and Ruto of planning to arrest him in Mombasa? So Haji is saying, I'll follow this. So let's see whether Haji will follow what he's saying. Asipofuata, tutaamini Matiang'i. That is my take. Yes, Duke, then I know there are people, Msimama, would like to give Msimama a chance because maybe he may be struggling with his network. See, tuache Msimama ongee kwanza. Karibu Msimama.
Okay, asante sana dada yangu Julia, hapo ndugu yangu Stone PK, Jeremani non-script, brother Duke, kakangu mkuu hapo Guru na Secretary General. Mimi nashukuru, nafikiri mawazo yangu ama maoni yangu niliyozungumza juzi nikana kwamba Mungu anayajibu juu mambo aliyozungumza baba yale ambayo alikuwa anategemea ayazungumze, na nashukuru aliyazungumzia vizuri kwamba swala la hawa waasi waliojipeleka huko State House ni lazima wakabiliwe kisheria ndani ya chama, na ni swala zuri hawakuchukuliwa hatua, na hatua ya kwamba mimi naona tu ni kuchukuliwa vyeti tu. Sasa kama watabaki kwa serikali wakitafuta msaada na kutafuta maendeleo ya watu wao, basi waendelee, kwa sababu kauli mbiu hapa nafikiri iliyozungumzwa na baba kwamba hatutambui hii serikali, na ni vyema watu wakibaki katika misimamo, kwa sababu kuna kitu ambacho tunakitafuta hapa ambacho hakiendi sawa katika nchi yetu. Na yenyewe haswa ni kwamba kura ya Mkenya haina thamani, kwa sababu kama hiko na thamani basi hatungeshuhudia haya ya wacha tukubali na tuendelee mbele kama hakuna shida. Hii neno wacha tukubali tusonge mbele basi ni kumaanisha kwamba kuna ubovu, na kama kuna ubovu ni sharti kama wanachama basi watu wawe na msimamo, wakisema hivi wacha viwe hivyo. But kama watu watasema hivi na wengine watoke waende wafanye mengine bila mwongozo wa chama wala bila taarifa kamili, huu ni utovu wa nidhamu katika chama, na pia ni kuwakosea Wakenya wale ambao wamewachagua katika mrengo ule, kwa sababu Wakenya waliamini wengi walikuja kwa vyama tofauti ama mrengo tofauti, lakini Wakenya wakaamua wewe acha tukupe na huu mrengo kwa sababu huu mrengo ndo tunaamini. Sasa haileti picha nzuri kwa mtu kuweza kuasi kuenda mahali nyingine kwa kisingizio cha kutafuta maendeleo kwa watu wake. Hiyo sio, kwa sababu before nitafutie maendeleo, wacha kwanza niamini kura yangu imezungumza. Wacha niamini, je, mahali unanifuatilia hao maendeleo ndipo mahali nilichagua kama mwananchi. So nadhani hili swala la kuchukulia hatua hawa viongozi waasi na liunga mkono, na hiyo ndio njia. Kwa hiyo ndugu yangu Jalango apambane na hali yake. Alishuhudia jana hiyo purukushani haswa, hali hata baadhi ya walinzi wakutaka kutoa mguu wa kuku. Haikuwa rahisi hivyo, na hiyo ndio njia halisi ya nidhamu, kwa sababu unataka ukienda mahali basi pia viongozi wako kwenye chama ambao ni wakuu wako basi wanaelewa na kuwa kuna sababu ya wewe kuingia, si kujichukulia maamuzi alafu urudi huku sema bado mimi niko pande huu, at the same time mchana uko huku kwa Azimio, usiku uko kwa KK. Does not make sense, na it's not a good picture at all. So nishukuru baba aliyazungumzia na kamati nzima, nadhani hiyo ndio itakuwa tiba. Kwa hiyo hawa 9 dawa iwe hiyo, na sisi wananchi pia tucheze pati yetu kwa hawa waasi. Wewe tumekuchagua kwa huu mrengo na umeenda upande hii nyingine, basi na pia nasi tucheze upande wetu, ndivyo kwa chama kuwe kuna kimenuka na huku kwa wananchi nako kimenuka. Uongo kesho mtu mwingine hawezi fanya hivi, na pia mtu atakuwa na ule msimamo kwamba nasimama na haki ya watu wangu kweli, kwa sababu mimi siamini kwamba watu wameenda kule kwa minajili ya maendeleo ya watu wao. Kile navuta katika what I create on my mental picture is kwamba watu wameenda kule kwa matumbo yao na wasiwasi kwamba mimi nitakosa ajira nisiposhirikiana na upande basi sitaweza kufaidi haya ambayo nayaona, na tuko katika crisis. Kwa hivyo namshukuru baba ameyazungumzia, na pia nilishukuru zaidi ile la kwamba atapunguza mikutano yake ili haya mambo yafanyike haraka. Wacha tuone hilo, kwa sababu kadri tunavyochelewa basi tunampa nafasi adui kuweza kujipanga zaidi. Na madamu hili kalishtukiza ama kasikiza haswa Mutembei na maoni yetu hapa, wacha tushukuru baba na tuhakikishe hii mikutano ambayo yamehitaji imefanya kwa haraka, which by next week tuwe tumejua la kuwa kama ni kung'oa hii serikali tunang'oa, kwa sababu hakuna mtu ambaye ameweza kuchallenge haya matokeo ambayo yametolewa na whistleblowers, kiasi kwamba hakuna yeyote ambaye ameweza kujitokeza akasema hapana, haya sio. Hakuna. Nurdin Haji naye kuweza kumchukulia Matua Matiang'i, wacha huyu ni mfamaji pia, ndio tumemshuhudia wakati alipokuwa akisema nilifanya hivi kwa kusukuma, but alitusaliti. Kwa hivyo wakumbuke Matiang'i pia yeye amekaa kwa security, yuko na intelligence. Kwa hivyo chochote kile wanakipanga wasione labda ni mtu mdogo, hapana. Kwa hiyo kama tamchallenge witness, wacha tungoje, na naungana na mkono dangu Julia hapo kwamba tusubiri, na asipomchukulia hatua basi itakuwa hii ni kutufumba macho, lakini kweli hii kitu walipanga na si jambo zuri katika taifa letu, kwa sababu mtu anapokuwa na makosa sheria zifuatwe, si kufuata watu sana na usiku. That's not so good, inaleta mgawanyiko katika nchi na si jambo zuri. Na naamini watu walipanga kuhusiana na Matiang'i na wale wengine, maana si Matiang'i peke yake alolengwa. I do believe ni wengi ambao wamelengwa, watu kutaka kulipiza visasi kwa sababu ya jambo moja au jingine, jambo ambalo mimi Chaka kama kiongozi siwezi fuata mambo ambayo yameshapita. Mimi huwa ni jukumu langu mfano kama kiongozi niende kinyume na yale ambayo wenzangu walinifanyia ama nilifanywa, kwa minajili ya kuweza kujenga uhusiano mzuri na watu nitakao waongoza. Bali nikisimama katika hali za ulipizaji visasi, nakosa maadili na hekima ya uongozi. Kwa hivyo sasa natengeneza picha mbaya kwamba nitakuwa sina roho ya uongoza, bali na roho ya kulipiza visasi. Mna fulani kanifanya hivi na mimi lazima nitamfanya hivi ili aone hao uchungu. Hiyo haitatusaidia Kenya, na hili hali huku Mkenya yeye anapata tabu. Jambo lingine la mwisho ambalo mimi nitaweza kulizungumzia hapa, ndugu zangu, kwa hii nafasi ambayo mmenipa, ni kwamba hapa muhimu ni mwananchi. Muhimu si kuonyeshana umaarufu wa kununuliana wabunge. Muhimu si kuonyeshana lawama. Hapa muhimu ni mwananchi, na mwananchi ndio aliofungwa kamba katikati. KK wanavuta kule, Azimio wanavuta huku. Sasa anayefungwa hapo katikati ya hiyo kamba ni sisi wananchi wanyonge. Na kibaya zaidi ambacho sasa mwingine anatuumiza zaidi ni kwamba hatufikirii ule mzigo wenye tuko nao. Mzigo wa karo za shule, sasa hivi karo zimepanda, gharama maisha ndio hiyo, kila kitu, na hakuna chochote ambacho kinazungumziwa mpaka muda huu. Ukicha tunashuhudia vitimbi, ukicha tunashuhudia malumbano ya hawa ndio walipora pesa, hawa hawatoi ushuru, hawa pesa nao waliiba, kesi zao ziliingizwa hapo kisiasa. Kwa hivyo hizi pesa za hawa zirejeshwe huku, hawa nao. Sasa tunashuhudia vitu ambavyo viko nje na uongozi. Ndipo nasema uongozi hautufai kama Wakenya, na ni sharti tusimame kwa pamoja kuweza kukomesha viongozi ambao hawana roho ya utu, hawana imani na mwananchi. Kwa hivyo tuungane pamoja, tuungane na baba na tusichoke. I do believe hata Kibaki peke yake, but baba naamini anaona kwa ile hakika yeye yuko na wananchi, na sisi wananchi tuko na baba. Kwa hiyo hata wabunge wote wanunuliwe wote, wale wacha waende, but sisi tutasimama na baba kudemand haki yetu, kudemand kura yetu, na kumalizana hili jinamizi la kura, kwamba tunaenda kwa kura hewa tu, lakini watu huwa wanakaa wanapanga nani atakaa rais, nani atakaa katika hii uongozi. So mimi sina mengi ndugu zangu, ni kuambia Wakenya wenzangu, tuunganeni pamoja na tuwe na msimamo, tushikane na msimamo. Ni jambo la msingi ili kuweza kulitimiza hili, basi lazima tushirikiane kwa pamoja, ambapo naamini umoja ni nguvu na utengano ni dhaifu. So Wakenya wenzangu, tusichoke, tushikane makabila yote, tuhakikishe kwamba kipenga kitakapopigwa watu tunaingia State House, na the only healing solution is Ruto must go. Hakuna lingine, kwa sababu hizi dalili tunazoziona zinatulekeza mahali kusiko, zinatuonyesha picha dictatorship, of which hatuwezi ruhusu dictatorship tena hapa Kenya. Watu tunahitaji ni demokrasia iwe ni thabiti, ni demokrasia ambayo hakika itaweza kutupa devolution ambayo itakuwa Mkenya anafaidi, Mkenya anafarijika, Mkenya at least anapumziwa mzigo ambao kwa sasa umezidi mno. Asanteni sana kwa huo muda, na niwashukuru ndugu zangu kwa nafasi hii. Asante.
Asante bwana Msimamo. Umetukumbusha mema, na lili sidhani, unaona, umeleta hoja kwamba unajua Matiang'i alikuwa kwa serikali na hii serikali haikuwa na ile handover genuine. We didn't see Kibaki, I think, had a good handover from Moi's government, because however much sisi tulichoka na Moi, first and foremost Moi wanted Uhuru to take over. But I always think why we may have had a genuine election in 2002, Moi did not mind Kibaki. And I think the attitude in which Kibaki came in haikuwa mbaya. The same thing with Kibaki Uhuru handover. It must have been a smooth. Now, in handover from Uhuru's government to Ruto's government had strife. Mimi naona strife. Kitu inaitwa strife. Sasa, let me ask you, even if it is a situation like it happens in schools when people who hand over, they don't agree. So I think ile inasumbua hii serikali ya Ruto ni kwamba that Matiang'i still is so connected to the people working in the government, and maybe there's more that meets the eye between Matiang'i and hii serikali ya Kenya Kwanza. Unasikia ati Matiang'i anasema ati Haji na Ruto walipanga kumkamata. So why are they arresting him? They are not telling us that he has 1, 2, 3 corruption scandals, that we were charging him 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, now they'll come up with cases. Definitely, they may come up with cases, but they are not telling us. So what is the problem? Now, I am not convinced Magoha's funeral is the only thing that is causing Ruto to feel so bad. There may be many more things. It's just maybe Matiang'i is still connected and so much connected. And it's like there are people maybe who can only take instructions from Matiang'i. And that is the bond that they are chewing with Matiang'i. So mimi naona these things more than it meets the eye. Still naona umeamka. Watu Duke alikuwa na swali. Tunde ameenda kulala. Nguru sijui akuwa na swali. Lakini naomba situache, I'll come to you, Duke. Can we, okay, Duke, 1 minute so that we give Secretary General nafasi ya ongee. Hajaongea. Okay, 1 minute Duke and 1 minute Duke.
I'll be very brief about the function and how should political parties work. Most of you have been proposing that each member of parliament must obey the political party, but what you are forgetting is that the political party is the members of parliament. So our political party is a representation of all those members of parliament. So I feel that each and every member of parliament must be given a right and freedom to express her or his opinions freely in a way, because that's as per the constitution. Because if you read Article 91, but see, it says that political parties must uphold principles of democracy in the political process of political parties. And it goes ahead to say, respect and promote the freedom of all persons who are participating in that process. And nobody should be forced to belong to a given political party. So that's critical. So what I was witnessing yesterday, the way Felix Odwell was being like almost being chased away in an uncivilized way is very bad. And we should have, like, for example, a process whereby each member of parliament must be allowed to express his own. Number two, Guru said that members of parliament, as per the constitution, members of parliament does not need any deferment from the national government, something of that kind, which is very false, because actually what goes to the counties, it's a very small fraction, like 15%, 47 counties. But around that's 85% remains on the national government. And the members of parliament are representing specific constituencies. So those members of parliament understand the needs of people from each and every constituency. Therefore, the expenditure of this 85% of the resources which belongs to the national government, I feel that a member of parliament has a responsibility in terms of identifying issues in his constituency and trying to inform the government or convert the government to do that. Take, for example, maybe if a given constituency has issues to do with water, and we have functions which belongs to the national government, not county government, I feel that there is a way in which the member of parliament must coordinate with the national government in one way or the other. So that's what I can say.
Asante, Duke. Guru, 2 minutes.
Let me first make a correction. I did not say that MPs don't require development funds from the central government. What I said is that the channels of getting such development have nothing to do with the president. The parliamentary committees is where you go and praise the needs of your constituents, and then you obey within the parliament for such passage. However, what we have right now is somebody trying to recreate the Moi era type of presidency. Why didn't we have individual MPs going to Kebaki's office when he was president? Why didn't we have individual MPs, visiting State House during Uhuru's time, apparently to look for development? This kind of nonsense is what we experienced in 1980s and 90s, where somebody recreates a perception that you can only get a borehole in Bamachoge if you visit the State House, that you can only maybe build toilets in your schools, in your backyard, in your constituency, if you visit the office of the president. I think this is what I'm trying to say here. I'm not saying that constituencies don't require resources from the central government, and precisely the reason why we went for 2010 constitution was to remove the powers of determining resource allocation from the presidency, because this is a tactic that was used by Moi to oppress some communities that did not vote for him. Here is a person who is trying to recreate that situation, a perception which we should resist as Kenyans, that you can only benefit when you are people when you visit the State House. And let me tell you, this kind of politics is very expensive. If those who are very well conversant with what happened when we transitioned to multipartism, that is the time we had very many scandals. Scandals became of such big magnitude. That is the time we had multiple land grabbing cases, because the presidency had to reward those joining him in his political enterprise. So they would be given government land, they would be given public money. It's a very expensive political enterprise, because it is maintained by it's maintained by people getting money in their accounts, individual accounts. Okay, you are given money so that when the government brings a certain bill in parliament, you support the government. This is what is happening. We are not foolish, Duke. We were not born yesterday. We have seen these processes, the way they have been done in the past, and that's why we detest that kind of perception that for you to go and get development of your people is by visiting State House. It creates the image that the president keeps money in his office, and therefore when you visit there and you say you need a borehole in your constituency, he just goes to the sheriff and he hands you the money, which is a very bad a very bad perception. Then why did we go for the 2010 constitution? I thought the parliamentary processes are meant for MPs to go and represent their people, lobby, represent them in a parliamentary level. When budgeting is done in parliament today, it's not done in the office of the president. So I do not know what these MPs are after, other than personal benefits it has nothing to do with the development. The way I see it, these are just people who want their bank accounts replenished with state funds. That's it. That's the way it is. So therefore, but I also want to bring to the attention of this forum, we were told this is a dilapidated economy that these people inherited. But the reports that we have right now is that 4 billion shillings have been used for hospitality, snacks, tea, and sweet nothings around the offices of the top 3 in this government. A government that inherited a dilapidated economy has used 4 billion shillings for tea, mandazi, and the general, office. I mean, I mean, how serious are we really here?
We are very serious.
So
we are very serious drinking tea.
So let us not accept to be made fools. Maybe it was possible to make a section of our youths foolish through propaganda during elections. But Kenyans, we are beyond that. The government has invested a lot of money in the past in education. That's why we went to school, so that we can be able to scrutinize these things and hold the leadership to account. We cannot just sit by when MPs are being bought right, left, and center. Even the nominated ones. I saw Sabina Chege also going there talking about that he's visiting State House to get funds for development. In fact, if I were to say the first line of attack should be the nominated MP should lose their seats immediately. I saw some suggestion going around that the Sabina should just be sent home and the position given to Peter Kenneth. We must have discipline in political parties, honestly. We can't run a country like a kiosk. So therefore, for the likes of Duke, they must understand the government does not revolve around the presidency. The 2010 constitution was meant to free Kenyans from the presidency. That is the one holding everybody by the neck. And that if you do not have a good relationship with him, then your people will not get development. I saw people asking, Njarango, why is it that there seems to be a lot being done in Embakasi by Babu Owino, and he never visited the State House? What's this nonsense about visiting State House? And he says that he was visiting State House because contractors over housing scheme were to go on the ground the following day. So what has it got to do with the MP? I thought the work of the MP is to oversight that the project that the government is putting on the ground meets the specifications and that money is not lost. That's all. I mean, if he's going for his own personal interests, let him just keep off the political party, ODM, which has outlived very many people.
Wind up so that we give Secretary General.
Yes, I'm saying I am liking the way Baba has taken this matter, and he does not fear, even if they were to all go away. In fact, he told the MPs, let's go to the people. Don't mind about those who are going to eat ugali in State House. Thank you.
Asante. So when you come back, Guru, unknown scripts, Atamise, Msimamo na wengine, I need you to tell me what is the process of taking Sabina Chege's parliamentary seat. What is the legal process? Please find out. Msimamo, naomba nipatie Secretary General, amekaa sana na hajaongea, nitarudi kwako. Msimamo, Secretary General, do you want Msimamo to say anything? You are muted.
Nasema it's okay. It's
It's
okay.
okay. Okay, msimamo.
Yes, ni kidogo tu kaka, ndani dadangu Julia. Ni kuna mahali Duke kidogo